The newest name attached to the Golden State Warriors is Milwaukee Bucks forward/center Bobby Portis. Could be an option this offseason in terms of availability. That's the biggest thing in bringing in a player in the offseason. But the question is, would he help the Warriors? We're going to debate with Kylen Mills on today's show.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the good word, everyone? Welcome into Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our sponsor today is Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. You can check out this show on YouTube. You can check us out wherever you get your audio podcasts. And if you want to find us on the World Wide Web, just search Locked On Warriors. I'm your host, Charlie Walter, formerly at 95.7, The Game in the Bay Area, flagship radio station of the Golden State Warriors. Also was on TV in the Bay Area for CBS News Bay Area. Kylen Mills, formerly of Cron 4 and Pac-12 Networks, and now at Big Ten. And you've seen her on the NBC Sports Bay Area broadcasts. She joins today to talk a couple things. One, we'll get into the NBA Finals as the Indiana Pacers are able to pull one out over the OKC Thunder and go up 2-1 in the series. A Bobby Portis tied to the Golden State Warriors. Do we like it? Do we love it? Do we want some more of it when it comes to talking about it this offseason? Is that a realistic, plausible name that we should potentially be excited about if you like the pickup, obviously? And then more Quentin Post coming. It sounds like Brook Lopez would not be in the cards this offseason because they think they already have their stretch five in Quentin Post. Kylen, what's up? How do you like that rundown tonight for June 11th, which is outside of the NBA Finals, just the graveyard season?
Let me tell you what's missing from that rundown, Chuck. Anyone who truly knows ball and truly loves ball would address the fact that rookie Paige Beckers just dropped 35 points in the Dallas Wings game tonight. Sorry, that's why I was looking at my phone when we first joined the show, because that game just wrapped up after the Pacers NBA Finals win. I obviously flipped over to watch the dub because, hey, listen, there's great basketball being played in the WNBA. So just got to give a little shout out real quick. Paige Beckers with a historic performance. If you like basketball, again, there are some big and exciting stars to watch in the W. Beckers' final stat line before we move on from this: 35 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, only 2 turnovers, efficient shooting, 13 of 19 from the floor, 5 of 7 from deep, 4 of 5 from the free throw line. That is a true baller. Okay, back to the Dubs. Did you want to talk about the NBA Finals first?
Oh, we got to get into it. Indiana up 2-1 in the series. Look, Kylen, the media has coined the Oklahoma City Thunder as the next Golden State Warriors dynasty. Haven't won anything yet, but they've coined them champions already. You may as well have not played this series. And what I'm here to say after 3 games in this series, and it may go the distance, it may go 7, OKC may win it. I'm not going to have any crazy predictions that way. But Indiana's just as good, if not better, than OKC. I truly believe that. I don't think this is any sort of a fluke series. You go up and down the rosters. Sure, at the top, the Thunder, their top 2 may be better than the top 2 of Indiana. But overall, when you have a team like Indy that gets 27 points off the bench from Benedict Mathurin. That was something they didn't have a season ago. He was out for the playoffs with an injury during that run. He's 9 of 12 from the floor and hit 7 free throws in 22 minutes. McConnell was everywhere. He had 10 points. Obi Toppin, he's just solid. He's just a good basketball player. And on a night where Miles Turner didn't really play well, 3 of 11 from the floor, just 9 points. Halliburton, 22. Siakam, 21. They are just top to bottom a very good basketball team. Meanwhile, on the other side, a combined, let's do the math here, 70 points from Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA 24, Williams 26, Holmgren 20. But aside from that, Dort had 12, Wallace had 7, 4 for Hartenstein, 8 for Caruso, 6 for Isaiah Joe. I just don't get the narrative that the Oklahoma City Thunder are – I mean, I guess I get the narrative why they're one of the greatest teams of all time. They won 68 games this season. Statistically speaking, yes, they are. But to weave this back into some Golden State Warriors talk, they beat them twice. Warriors beat this team twice. Could have beat them 3 times had they had Curry in that third game. They almost had him with just Kuminga and company. But, I mean, the Thunder, no disrespect, although I kind of can't stand the Thunder for whatever reason. Pacers.
Why?
What, the Thunder?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about the way they play that I don't love. Foul Merchant has a lot to do with it. And I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the human being. I think he's an incredible basketball player.
Say, you know Shai, right?
Yeah.
And just,
out. I don't love the way he plays, though, by any means. And he's awesome.
I was going to say, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was super nice. Charlie covered Kentucky basketball in one of his many stops along the local news train. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I thought, was super down to earth and super great.
Yeah, and he was awesome at Kentucky. He was one of those like top 75 recruits, but not McDonald's All-American level or 5-star level, to where he was like the 4th or 5th best in Cal's class, and just got better as the season went along and was clearly their best guy. But his game's just so methodical, right? He's just smart. He comes at you in different ways. He's got great balance, comes at you in all the angles. And for whatever reason, I don't enjoy that style. I like a chaotic, like, Curry's obviously my favorite player. I don't know. No disrespect again.
No disrespect.
I think Indy's the better team. Because I just disrespected them for 20 minutes.
Listen,
I do think Indy's the better team. I just think top to bottom, I don't think that's that hot of a take. They got the 2-1 lead.
I think that the Oklahoma City Thunder have been vastly overrated. When you're talking about the big talking heads, calling this team a future dynasty, or even bringing up the word dynasty when they haven't won anything, to me is crazy.
Went to 7 with Denver, and Denver was good. Don't get me wrong. But
Great. But I'm just saying, until you've won one chip, how can you bring up the word dynasty? Like that just is mind blowing to me. So I think when you talk about in that sense that this OKC team is overrated. Now, I think this is a great team. I think they belong in the NBA finals. I think they were one of the best teams consistently over the course of the entire regular season. And I think that this series is going to come down to a game 6 or 7. Like, I think it is going to go the distance. It's been incredibly competitive. Let's keep in mind the games that the Pacers have won. Granted, this one, they ran away with it or separated a little bit down the final stretch, but like this was a 1-2 point game going into the final 6-7 minutes. And when the Pacers won in game 1, it was on an insane finish. So it's not like the Pacers are blowing them out in their wins. And we saw Oklahoma City, have a pretty decisive win in game 2. So I think this is incredibly competitive and this could go the distance. You know what I enjoy about this NBA Finals, Chuck, is the fact that this is not the finals matchup that I think a lot of those talking heads wanted in terms of the brands, in terms of the media coverage. I tweeted something today that's actually been getting a lot of love and a lot of retweets and comments. And that's, if you don't like watching this series and you were complaining about it and you said it was bad for the league, you don't like basketball. Because listen, this Oklahoma City team has been the best team consistently all season. This is an Indiana Pacers team that was the 7th seed that nobody saw making it this far, let alone being up 2-1 in NBA finals. They fought off elimination. They've hit multiple game winners. They've been winning in thrilling fashion. This is an underdog story to me in terms of a Pacers organization that's been trying to get back to this point for the first time in 25 years. And then you've got a Thunder's organization that's been trying to get back to this level since Kevin Durant left. And these are 2 mid-sized markets, 2, I think, cities where basketball means a lot. So for the people like complaining, I just feel like you don't like basketball. You don't like basketball. You like media talking heads. Like, I don't know. I get like the big brands and it's like, oh, the Knicks versus the Celtics would be crazy. Yeah, sure. Whatever. I mean, they're both in the East. They wouldn't play in the finals. So I'm just saying, like, when you talk about the Lakers versus someone, like, I get it, but I'm happy to see 2 different teams, and I'm happy to see 2 teams that are playing really good basketball, and I have been entertained. You look like you want to add something.
Yeah, I just think that everyone kind of crowned OKC as like 1,000% the team to beat. No one can hold a candle up to them. And meanwhile, Indiana, as on the western side of the bracket, the Thunder, avoid Steph Curry because he's hurt in the series, and they get the Wolves. And say what you may, maybe the Wolves win that series with Steph. Who knows? I seem to think that the Warriors would have won that series. They also go to 7 with the Denver Nuggets. The whole jaw injury, that doesn't affect that series. They're winning regardless. But meanwhile, you go to the other side, and the Pacers just demoralized the Cavs. And how good were the Cavs? And granted, Cavs not at full strength, but Pacers have been impressive for a long time. They swept the Warriors this season. They've been the Warriors' kryptonite for a minute. So we've kind of seen the Pacers' inner workings for a while now of how good they've been. And I just think people are sleeping on Indy, man. Everyone was talking about Dynasty, OKC, and here we are. It's 2-1.
The Dynasty
Rick
thing before you
Carlisle
won a
can
single
coach.
chip is crazy to me.
It's crazy talk. It's crazy talk, and it's ridiculous that's what. But look, we do a sports podcast. Sometimes you want clicks. Unfortunately, like if I make this graphic tonight, like Post wants to get better this offseason. Like no one's clicking on that. You got to get a little sensationalism. It's unfortunate that we're that as a society, but they already have to crown the Oklahoma City Thunder the next Golden State Warriors. And I promise you this.
Nobody's the next Golden State Warriors.
Lou Dort is not Andre Iguodala, and, Cason Wallace isn't Klay Thompson. Like a very different team. Sure, they won 68. Sure, they're set up to be better than anyone in the NBA for a minute now until they got to start paying a lot of these guys, right?
Yeah.
But
one thing I want to say about the Pacers really quick before we move on from this is the fact that I think you made a great point in that they're getting contributions from everyone. And that has been the story of this Pacers team throughout the season, is that they've been incredibly deep and they've been incredibly balanced. And I think we're seeing that pay dividends in this NBA final series. We're seeing it pay dividends in the playoffs. Like their star, Tyrese Halliburton, didn't score in the final 6:30 plus of this fourth quarter when the game came down to the wire. They hit a really big three. Halliburton hit a really big three with like 6:50 to go. And then he didn't score again. I'm 99% sure. I literally just before we came on was scrolling through the play-by-play because I was like, if my memory serves, he didn't score. And the fact that they had other guys who were contributing to, stretching this game or to, padding the lead down the stretch just goes to show how deep they are. And let me tell you what, the Warriors need to get Pascal Siakam. How's that for a take?
They had their chances.
Your pace. Sorry, we'll keep it to a Portis.
My last day at CBS, or my last
I love
Warrior
Pascal
show,
Siakam,
I should
though.
say.
Dude's a dog.
Last Warrior show that I did at CBS, we had Kawakami on our game day show, and that was the name that got brought up for Kuminga and Poole, or maybe it was just Kuminga. I don't know. It was Kuminga, but they ended up trading Poole for Paul and no Siakam that offseason. And Anunoby was another name too. But anyways, we're continuing the show. Bobby Portis tied to the Warriors. That's the meat and potatoes of this program. Do we like it or not? That's next. All right, today's episode is brought to you by WayFair. Nothing like stepping into your own outdoor space and feeling like you've escaped your own personal oasis. If you're wanting to update your patio this season, WayFair has made it so easy to turn it into a space that feels like yours, comfortable, stylish, and ready for summer. WayFair's got everything you need to level up your outdoor space: conversation sets, outdoor bars, fire pits, hot tubs, gazebos, and yes, even the perfect string lights to set the vibe. It's like giving your backyard that resort feel without the resort price tag. What do you want to redesign your home this summer? I promise you, WayFair has it. The delivery's free. It's fast. It's totally hassle-free. I just got myself a little, obviously they got the stars there, which is a great way to see if it's a great product or not. And I promise you, just about everything's rated pretty high there. And good pricing too, but we got a little entertainment system for the basement. It's delivered quick. So don't wait. Make your outdoor space or any space your dream oasis today with WayFair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WayFair. WayFair, every style, every home. Check it out at wayfair.com. All right, Kylen. So Bobby Portis, the latest name to be tied to the Golden State Warriors. This is per Jake Fisher. Team executives expect Portis to have numerous potential landing spots in the mid-level market potentially, although Milwaukee would like to bring him back. Golden State has always been a team to monitor for Portis, who has a notable fan and head coach Steve Kerr from their shared days during the 2023 FIBA World Cup competition with USA Basketball. I like Bobby Portis. He brings a lot of things that the Warriors could use. First of all, he could actually be brought to Golden State, which you can't say about many of the players that are tied to the Warriors through Bovada or whatever it is during hypothetical season. But as for Portis, he's got a player option, so could potentially be a free agent coming up. $13.5 million. That matches Moses Moody. So if there was some interest there, potentially there could be that trade if he opts into that option and there's something worked out behind the scenes, or if he just opts into it and the Bucks flat out trade him. But opting in doesn't necessarily rule out a move for Golden State. It'll make it difficult, I would think, because the Warriors may struggle to find $13.4 million or $14 million of free capital to go towards Bobby Portis this offseason, with the first apron potentially standing in their way of adding him. But averaged 14 a season ago, 8 rebounds, usually averages anywhere from 8 to close to 10 per game. A couple of assists, shoots at 46% for the floor, 36% from 3. Has a nice little mid-range game to him. Not the fastest human being, not going to handle the ball by any means. But if you're talking about an upgrade from Trace Jackson Davis, oh my goodness, is that and then some. And he's kind of a dog. So he'd fit in with Draymond and Jimmy and a team that prides itself on defense. He's huge. That's something you like about Portis, and he's a legit veteran at age 30. He's 6'10", 250. And again, the numbers 14, 8, 36% from 3. I don't know if I love a starting lineup or finishing lineup of Curry, let's go Pods, Jimmy, Draymond, and Portis. I don't know if Portis, Draymond can play together on the floor at the same time, a ton at least. What are your thoughts on this? Could Portis be the starting 5 from day one, and does this make sense to you? I do really like everything about Bobby Portis, aside from the fact that he's probably going to be a 6-man if I had to guess. And yeah.
What do you mean he's going to be a 6-man? I thought you just said he would be the starting center.
I don't think it would work. I don't know if, I mean, he can space it. That's the thing. Like, you look at his numbers of what he did in the playoffs, and he hit 6 in a playoff game. So he is someone that can space the floor. He's not like a traditional center. He's more of a stretch 4, stretch 5 type of guy. But Draymond, Jimmy, Portis, let's say you got Buddy on the floor at the same time, you just may not have enough ball handling to a certain degree. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, if you don't have enough ball handling, I don't think having Bobby Portis on the floor at the 5 is going to be your issue. My thoughts on Bobby Portis are this. I actually like the idea of him combining with Draymond Green in the front court, because to some degree they have complementary skill sets in that Bobby Portis is a player who's going to be a scoring threat. He's pretty good at scoring in the pick and roll. He can stretch the floor. You pointed out Portis is just over a 38% career shooter from beyond the arc, averaging about 3 3-point attempts per game. And you mentioned there's games where he's gone off and gotten hot and been able to do more than that. So with the Warriors team that wants to space the floor, I think that's a good thing when you add a player who can be a stretch 5. Portis has some size at 6'10", which the Warriors desperately lack. One of my downsides is the fact that Portis is not an elite interior defender. He's not a great shot blocker, which is why I think, like, hey, maybe it works next to Draymond Green, who is an elite defender and who is a guy who can lock up the opposing team's best big. I mean, we've seen him as an undersized post be able to do that against bigger players time and time again. So maybe that can compensate for Portis. My issue with Bobby Portis is that I don't think he is enough to move the needle for me to make this Warriors team a championship contender. Again, I think that had Steph Curry been healthy, they could have gotten out of the conference semifinals. Were they a team that could even make the finals? Were they a team that really was going to contend for a trophy with the roster as it was built this last season? No. Does Bobby Portis get you over the line to winning an NBA finals? Watching these two teams playing in the NBA finals right now, like, I think the Warriors are close. I don't think Bobby Portis is enough to get us there, though. So that's my issue.
Okay, so a lot of things to break down there. I guess one, it comes down to, let's start with, let's say in this hypothetical situation, the Bucks were interested in Moses Moody and said, okay, yeah, we'll do that deal. We believe in the former lottery pick. He's still young, had a pretty good season, minus late in the playoffs. But yeah, we'll bring him in coming off an injury and let's go. Go time. You take Bobby Portis. Which position is more of need right now for the Warriors? Someone that can pick up point of attack like Moody did, or someone down low that, like you said, isn't necessarily the greatest rim protector despite his size, sometimes hangs out around the perimeter and shoots threes and things that are huge. Don't get me wrong. We've been talking about a stretch five for so damn long. But as we talked about earlier, it sounds like per Tim Kawakami that the Warriors are interested in rolling a lot of Quentin Post out there and not bringing in Brook Lopez. And if that's the case, Bobby Portis, not necessarily Quentin Post by any means. And look, Bobby's a good passer and has nice post moves, things that Quentin Post does not bring in whatsoever. So you're not going to complain about that. It's just a matter of does he fit the need more than Moody?
I think it depends on what other moves are made and which free agents the Warriors retain, because we've talked about some of these other guards who could leave, for example, like a GP2. So I think some of it hinges on that. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say right now because we don't really know what the roster build is going to look like with this NBA final still going on and not knowing everyone who's going to be back or not. I
think it's safe to assume, right, that at least Peyton and I think Looney too. I think both of them are probably coming back just because of it makes sense to bring back your own guys, right?
What about Jonathan Kuminga?
I think he's coming back. I think that's an asset.
It's like
I think they're going to try to. I think they're going to try to weave in Kuminga. I really do, and then see how they're looking at the deadline. Kind of like this year. Remember our saying last year, waiting in the weeds, ready to pounce. They pounced last year. They're no longer waiting in the weeds. They're on the scene. They're just evaluating. You know, Mike's hanging out. He's going to be eating some popcorn on the front row seats and evaluating all season long, seeing if he can work up some magic and bring someone else in, because it's going to be a lot better for the Warriors if they were to trade Kuminga to do it at the deadline and bring back the full money. If
I don't know, I will be surprised if Kuminga comes back, but I could see, like you said, I could see maybe you wait until you get out of the penalty till you get too close to that trade deadline. I just think if JK moves on, and again, that's just, we don't know right now. If GP2 moves on, like Moses Moody is a guy who can step into the 3 or the 2 role, and they may be needing depth at those positions. But that being said, I don't know. It just depends on what else is available. Like I personally would prefer a Lopez over a Portis when we're talking about bringing in a big. But I don't necessarily think Bobby Portis would be a bad fit. That being said, like I wouldn't hate it. But again, I just feel like the Warriors need to make a bigger splash than that to be a championship contending team.
You're not wrong. I mean, they got to have a lot of things go right. The biggest thing is like the Pods, Moody, Kuminga trio. One of them's got to pop. And I mean, really pop, right? Like one of them's got to have a season to where you're like, all right, they can have that Benedict Mathurin performance in the playoffs, or God, there's a fly above me right now. It's driving me crazy in the summer podcasting months. But yeah, I mean, Moody, Pods, Kuminga, one of the three has to really step up their game next season. You agree with that that's kind of the X factor, unless they're using a combination or all three of those players to bring in a different core of young guys. But that's your core of players that I know they're thinking Quentin Post can take the step up and be a pretty good starting center in the NBA. I just think he's going to be solid at best, right? Someone that can play off the bench and start here and there when you need him, but not playoff caliber guy. So that's kind of my take on the matter, is that your best way to get better is one of those three.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you for sure. I do want to dive more into Quentin Post, though. Are we going to hit that, or do we got to hit a break real quick?
Yeah, let's get into Quentin Post. That's coming up on Locked On Warriors. All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. There's nothing like these NBA playoffs. It's the intensity, it's the buzzer beaters, it's the crazy comebacks, it's just creating a legacy for yourself. And that includes the fans as well. And the best way to be a fan is to get killer last-minute deals, also get panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees. Gametime is a total game changer. Look at the app and you'll see 60% off in great sections just like that. You also see your exact view of the seat with that panoramic view I was telling you. App makes it ridiculously simple. It's 2 taps and you're done. You got your tickets, and with the Gametime guarantee, you know you got the best deal. If you find a better price in the same row and section, they will legit credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. It's very easy. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Let's get back to the show. All right, we've teased it a couple times. Sounds like per Tim Kawakami, the Warriors not looking at a stretch 5 like Brook Lopez, and Quentin Post will be worked on this offseason. They're going to try to develop him hard, and there's a lot of hope around Post, and Warriors may not want to spend significant money on a stretch 5. So the exact quote is they may not pursue Brook Lopez and could instead lean towards Quentin Post. So who knows? All we do know is that I think it's safe to say Quentin Post is coming back. He's on a cheap deal, and we liked what he saw from him his rookie year, where he averaged 8 points and really stepped it up after starting the season and playing half the season in Santa Cruz.
I like Quentin Post. I think he has a ton of potential. And I actually was looking at his numbers as we were getting ready to do this segment, and he was honestly pretty efficient in the minutes he was on the floor. I mean, Post averaging more than 8 points, 3.5 boards, more than 1 assist per game. He's a pretty good passer. Well, averaging 16 minutes per game isn't bad. And I think that we saw the potential in what he can do as a stretch 5. He shot more than 40% from beyond the arc, averaging nearly 4.5 threes per game. I like all of those numbers. I like what we saw. Something I mentioned that I've talked about is just in the postseason, I thought it was exposed that he needs to get a little bit tougher on the inside, adjust to the physicality, but that's not a big concern for me since he is a rookie. Would love to see him put on a little bit of weight, add some strength, get in the weight room, my guy, eat some protein, whatever it takes. But I don't think he's ready to take on a significant or a starting 5 role for this Warriors team. Like, I liked him coming in off the bench. I still think he needs more time and more development. So like to pass up a Brook Lopez for Quentin Post, I'm not a big fan of. I still think they need to add to the front court regardless of Quentin Post making that jump in year 2 or the Warriors wanting him to have an elevated role. I think you just still have to bring in a piece in the front court. No question, whether it's, an all-star type of player, whether it's a solid traditional big, whether it's a veteran, whether it's a Bobby Portis who can also, shoot from beyond the arc, whatever. I think the Warriors have to add something in the front court regardless of Quentin Post. That is a no doubter.
Defensively, late in the season, he got exposed more than offensively, I thought. He can hold his own out there. Any 7-footer can get their shot off at just about any time, and he has legit range. We saw him, sidestepping, hitting threes as a defender flies past him. We saw him pull up on, the fast break and knock it down. We saw him hit 32-footers. Like, he's a legit shooter. This is not just some flash in a pan. Like, he's been doing it since his early days of college. He's legit like one of the better shooting 7-footers you will ever see on planet Earth.
Totally. I mean, and he has a good looking shot for a guy who's 7 feet. That's something you can't teach. I think he has a ton of potential. Kevin F just said in the comments something that I agree with completely. He wasn't ready for the postseason. Haha. I like what you did there. A little bit punny. But I just think like when it comes to banging with those true centers and some of the elite centers in the NBA, like I just don't know that he's quite there yet in the physicality, but I think he can get there. And again, like I think he's someone that you can, continue to develop, but he's not ready to I don't think he's ready to have too big of a role or a featured role yet on this team, but I like him continuing to be in the rotation in the second unit.
Yeah, and he got exposed defensively in the playoffs, like we were talking about. And
definitely has room to improve.
The question becomes with Post, like, is that just going to be who he is? Like when he goes up against big time talent and in the biggest games of the season, he just kind of fades. Like he was against who was it? Vucevic. I mean, he dominated Vucevic in the couple games he played against him. And, against some lesser centers, like he was really good, but defensively sometimes against some of the bigs down low struggled. Although I think there was a game he played Embiid pretty well, if I remember correctly. But that's
that'd be surprising because Embiid's pretty big.
That's going to be the thing. Like offensively, I think he's a nice piece because he offers something off the bench, 7 feet, and can knock down threes. Warriors don't have any of those guys.
Again, he's still a rookie. He can still develop. Like he can still get a lot better.
He can, but some people defensively have it and some people don't. And
I'm not ready to say he doesn't have it yet.
No, I'm actually taking this back because some of the sources, aka his point guard, Mason Madsen, who we had on the show last year, he was his point guard at Boston College. He said that Post took a ton of pride in his defense and got a lot better as his couple of years went on at Boston College. And yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, first year in the NBA, slow down the game a little bit, put some beef on him. Like, I do think he's going to be better. How good, realistically, starting center in the NBA good? We'll see. I mean, he's got that shooting ability that you can't teach.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that we definitely could dive more into this in a future episode as well.
All right, this is Locked On Warriors, free and available wherever you get your audio podcast. Kylen, thank you for joining the program on a slow Wednesday, but Pacers are up 2-1 in the NBA Finals. Peace, everyone.
Listen, it's going to get crazy in the offseason. Just wait, folks.